record on this. All right, guys, welcome to the Saturday Mindset Call. I'm Paul Capozio, and if you're listening to this call on a recording, you really should tap into this. If you're a new distributor and you're wondering what this call is all about, it's how we stay connected. So if someone is sending you this call to watch or to listen to, and you're not even in the business yet, or you're thinking about it, or you don't know, one of the biggest challenges I've gotten in this business is people say, Paul, look, I've tried this network marketing before. I've tried this direct sales affiliate programs, and everybody's so excited to get me to say yes and to join and to take my money and to buy this kit and get started. And then I never really hear from them again. You know, or worse, I've had people tell me, Paul, you sound like a really sharp guy. I think, you're really good at what you do. He goes, but I joined another company, and the guy who signed me up promised me all of this stuff, and I was going to make millions of dollars. And then when I brought him people to talk to, he would hang up the phone. He would only stay on the call for 5 or 10 minutes or less, and then text me, hey, if you're not going to bring me the right kind of people, then don't waste my time. And I'm saying, oh my God, I was the wrong kind of guy for years. Hold on, Linda's here to pick up the keys. Hi, honey. It's okay. Here you go. Hi. I got her a full tank of gas, and the tires were fine. They were like 2 or 3 pounds off. It's just the pressure thing is so sensitive. Sorry, I'm recording. So I love you. I'll see you in a little bit. All right. So, hey guys, if you don't think you could build this business and having a regular lifestyle, this is it. This is what it's all about. So there's nothing fancy about it. It's just regular people. Like, look at Danielle. She's coming on with a face mask on. You probably wish I had one on, but all right, so I get really distracted. You can build this business with ADD, attention deficit disorder. You can. I'm living proof of it. So if you're watching this and you're realizing that maybe you tried a business before, maybe you got excited about this, but you're unsure, maybe you've never done anything before in business, and you think it's complicated, this call right here is more important than learning about the products that we have or how the comp plan works. There are times when I'm talking about the compensation plan after all of these years being in the business, and I still confuse myself. But the point is, it's all automatically calculated. What you really need to worry about is the support you're going to get, the coaching you're going to get. We were talking about a call this morning with Christy Cunningham's on here, and she's working on building in a foreign country. And me, right, which people look at me like, oh, I'm this big lead or whatever. I oversleep for the call, but yet Mel got on the call. Thank you so much, honey. I left my phone in my daughter's car. Mel gets on the call, and then she calls Charmaine for the slides, and there's all of this multiple levels of backup. You know what I mean? And that call would have went on regardless. And that's what we're really trying to build and trying to explain to everybody is stop going it alone. Stop thinking you know better or thinking you know that this is not going to work, and align yourself with people that care if you're going to succeed or not. There's people on this call that I personally have no financial interest in whatsoever. No matter how good they do in this business, no matter how great they are, no matter what secrets I give them or they give me, I will not make an additional penny. But yet they're on here and they listen to me and I listen to them. Why? Because it makes everybody stronger. But there are people on this call who I do financially benefit from. That's the beauty of this business. You could build teams and teams of people all over the world and picking up a small percentage of all of that. That's where you build residual income from, right? But if we don't support them, right, and help them become successful, your success will fade away. And it could take it could take some people 5 months. It could take people 5 years. It could take people 7 years. But if you put this like crazy pressure on yourself where you're judging, and you're expecting and you're trying to manage all these expectations, you don't know what to believe or what is true. Just because you walk into a bagel shop or a sandwich shop or a donut shop and you walk in right? And the door is open and the lights are on and there's donuts in the shelf, you're assuming that this is his growing, prosperous business, right? You have no idea if it is or it isn't. All you know is when you went in, you bought a donut. And what that guy on the other side of the counter is hoping is that many, many people come in and buy donuts. Not one or two. The more customers he has, so he needs to stay open, but you don't have a clue. We just assume everybody else is doing better than us. We assume that everybody else had it easier than us, that we don't understand everybody else's struggle. I don't want you to have to overthink about it, but I also want you to think about you got to pay your dues. Here's the beauty of why I did this business later in life. If I started a donut shop, I used to own a restaurant in Boca Raton, Florida, and we had pizza. We had really good pizza. We had the #1 pizza in the area, right? We were voted, right? It's great pizza, all this other stuff, right? I'll tell you the secret of how we did that, but whatever. But the point is that we needed a mixing machine just to mix the dough. That mixing machine that the pizza guy wanted was like $12,000 for this mixer, right? This Hobart mixer, whatever, $12,000. That's just one piece of equipment. Do you think I made $12,000 selling one pizza? Or did I have to sell how many thousands of pizzas just to pay off that machine? Never mind making a profit, right? So here's a business that we get into for around $1,000, $1,100 at its peak, right? You get some inventory, you get your website, you get all that other stuff. This $1,100, and let's say you just made $200 a month. Let's say that's it. You know, you worked hard, you kind of struggled, you got on a bunch of calls, and you were making $200 a month. Show me where you're going to do that. Anywhere else. Now, and if you figure you can make 200, you can make 400. And what I find fascinating is that we're spoiled in the U.S. We think we're going to flip a switch and be a millionaire because we're focusing on all the BS we see on Facebook and we see all this other stuff that, you know, everyone's an overnight success. That's not true. It's not true. And everybody is to the point where they just want to walk in the door, have no experience doing something, and they want to be paid $500,000 a year. It's not happening. It's not happening. In fact, more people are looking to not do anything and be satisfied with $600 to $800 a month or a week from the government than they are to actually go out and make life-changing income. So what's happening is people are settling and convincing themselves on some level that this is as good as it gets, right? And I don't really have to do much for it. So you're willing to do nothing to make 800 instead of doing something to make 8,000 or 16,000 or 25,000. What I find so interesting, and I know Christy and Mel's going to start experiencing this too, and in other countries, they're still like it was here in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. They still have that drive because they're just getting to that point in some of these. We were talking to a communist country today. You know, for an extra $200 to $500 a month is huge there, huge. And we could deliver that like that. And they're willing to do it. So what's happening is we're all settling on some level because we're believing what we watch on television. We believe what we watch in Facebook. We get more excited about J-Lo's, married to what's his name again? Ben Affleck, right? They're back together again. And then she was with A-Rod or whatever. She was, she's going back. And we're so like enamored with this stuff and looking at the watch that she just got and the butt that she's walking around with and all this other crap, right? And we're living in our own readjustment of what's right for us and what we really want. And then we're just getting these feelings pumped into us. It's by design, folks. It's by design. All right. Am I up to date? I don't think so. I'm sure there's hotter couples and everything else. But look, well, that's the point. Even a guy like me, I really don't like to succumb to that because it's mind numbing. It's just mind numbing. And we sit and watch this and we're getting our satisfaction from sitting there and watching somebody's post and saying how great they are, and not do, and then we go back to our lives and struggle about, oh my God, how am I going to pay the electric bill? How am I going to pay the gas bill? How am I going to do this? I got to put gas in my car, right? And then that reality hits. And then what do? We see our screen time goes from an hour a week to an hour a day to 3 hours a day to 4 hours a day. Without looking at your screen time. So if you're not using that screen time to build an income or to have some sort of monetization of it, you are in the matrix. You're in the matrix. You're just plugged in and you're getting fed all of this information that's keeping you down and keeping your mind numb, and you're just satisfied with where you are. And you'll never get out of it. You'll never, ever get out of it. You'll never get out of it. All right. So that's enough of me ranting for Saturday. But if you're watching this and you're wondering why we do it as a prospect and why the person who's trying to bring you in and show you what's going on and what we're doing here, it's about this call. It's about, let's say you talked to somebody last night about the business and they said, oh, it'll never work and you'll never do that. Steve Harvey talks about, well, your friends and family, when he was starting out, in his business, and what he was doing and in his comedy career, everybody would tell him that they didn't, it'll never happen for you. You're not funny. You're not this, you're not that. And it's the crabs in the bucket story. And I'll let somebody else tell the crabs in the bucket story. But you have to realize that you need to be around people who are going to uplift you and they've accepted a level of abundance and ambition that they know there's enough for me, there's enough for Mel, for Paul, for Christy, for John, for Lori, for Marie, for Charmaine, Donna, Jill, Mary, Iris, Peg, Sheila, Rick. There's enough for everybody. Jennifer, I see you too. Chubb, Brooke, I see you too. Danielle, I really mentioned your face mask. Diane Chasik, I see you there. I see all of you there, right? But we see each other. Oh, I got to go to another page. There's a whole nother page of people here, right? John, Drew. All right, so Jordan, I see you down there too. Dawn. Oh, Diane Raimondi. Hold on a second, guys. So Diane, are you still in the hospital or did they send you home yet? Can you unmute? Are you allowed to speak?
I'm still here.
Oh, there she is. So that's a Diane. Diane's been going through a lot of health struggles lately, but I told her the other day, I'm like, at least they're narrowing it down. At least they got stuff to work on now. They kind of figured it out after God knows how long, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the good news, Linda and I were talking the other night, and Linda said, look, at least they know what's going on now. At least they could do it. I said, yeah, it took it forever. How many people leave the hospital without a diagnosis today? Or you leave the doctor and they're like, well, we think it could be one of these three things. Really? You can't narrow it down?
Mm.
All right. So Diane, it's great to see you on here. I see you got all dressed for the occasion. We really
Yes, I did.
Make sure the back is tied up.
Yeah.
Anybody want to say anything to Diane while she's hospitalized?
Know that we have you covered in prayer and we love you.
Thank you.
Healing vibes, hun.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So, Bettina, that's you on the iPhone. All right, great. All right, great. And Laurel, we see you there too. All right, so let's move on. Diane, great to see you. I'll call you later if you could take calls. You can take calls, right? Okay. So, but that's one of the things, you get close with people. So who wants to share a little bit either about what I said or has their own vibe they want to go down? How could we help people who are stuck in that matrix or stuck in that zone thinking it's not going to be good? John's got his finger up. And if you guys want to raise your hands and go in the queue, but go ahead, John.
Yeah, just real quick on the I Decide app, there is the Bus 101 that Eric gave us, and that's Business 101. And that is a very simple and detailed way to explain the difference between the corporate pyramid structure and the free enterprise structure, is what I call it, free enterprise, and how everybody here is here to make everyone more successful than ourselves. And it's the most beautiful concept. When you were talking about it's by design, it is by design to squash free enterprise. They want to say it's a pyramid scheme, and they explain from the beginning how this is not a pyramid scheme. So if you're a guest on here, get with who your sponsor is, who brought you here, and let them show you that, because that is the true American dream right there. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, listen, let's think about this, okay? You want to talk about how, let's break some of those myths, okay? And you could, there's stuff, you just Google, you know, the whole idea of free enterprise, your own business. There's a lot of information out there, tons and tons of it, right? You could look at Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, where he talks about the four quadrants of business and why you should be in your own business on some level. Peg, you got your hand up? I thought is your throat better?
Well, no, but I wanted to show up today because I was thinking, so I have very rare for me to be sick in the past 5 years, but I have a sore throat and it hurts when I talk. But so I told Paul I wouldn't be talking, but I really wanted to, I was thinking about something that I heard yesterday that really kind of devastated me. I'm sure probably most of you know who Jessie Lee Ward is. And I was listening to her yesterday do a live, and she was talking about a photo shoot that she was doing, and she's really changed her whole MO a lot lately. She's changed her body shape. She's really changed her, she's not wearing leggings and t-shirts anymore. She's dressing up, a more professional look. So I heard that, and then a couple hours later I saw Eric Worre post that Jessie Lee Ward has recently found out, and she's going in for surgery. She has stage 4 colon cancer. And it really, it really kind of rocked me. I was like, oh my God, first of all, here she was just hours before talking about going into a photo shoot and really showing that strength. And then it also made me realize that, first of all, you can't take anything for granted. Right? We can't take anything for granted. I think she's looking, her doctors say she's in excellent health, and she's looking there. They have, good hopes for her, for a great recovery. But it also made me think about the fact that because of her social media presence, I feel like she's a friend. Like, I feel like she's someone that I know. And there's a lot of power in that, I think. And it also made me realize that, so I wasn't going to show up today and speak because I had a sore throat. And there's Jessie Lee about to go into surgery for stage 4 colon cancer, and she's doing a live, and she did acknowledge it later in the day. She said, everyone was, praying for her and wishing her blessings, and she did acknowledge that it's a genetic mutation. I'm sure she's worried about her brand and her, and her business and her, people
Sure.
could make all kinds of assumptions, right? But it just made me realize that I need to show up even when it's maybe not comfortable or when I don't feel like it, because the saying, if you want what other people don't have, you have to do what other people won't do, right? So I just wanted to share that with you. I was really I'm emotionally shaken by that, but I'm also very, it's a good, I learned a lot of lessons from it too.
Wow. Okay. So let's unpack. We got two things to unpack. We got John's statement, which I want to kind of take that one step further, and we got Peg. So we'll stick with Peg because it's pretty emotional. So Jessie Lee started out basically broke, and she's one of the top earners in network marketing today, one of the top leaders. So if you don't think you could start from nothing and be something huge, it doesn't happen for everybody, but neither does being the starting quarterback in the Super Bowl. But there's still a ton of players that you'd love to trade places with. I think to make it to a Jessie Lee Ward level or any top level, anybody who makes $100,000 or more in network marketing is pretty much a superstar. People who make millions in network marketing are superstars, but it's a lot easier to do it here than it is in any other industry. Tell you why. I think pro football is a $12 billion industry. We're in a $190 billion industry or $180 billion industry. The numbers went down a lot this past year because the economy is affecting everybody. So started out with nothing, but Peg said, I feel like I know her. I watch her on social media. I listen to her. I feel like I know her. Here's the good and bad about that. I've been in situations where I've met celebrities that I watch them on television, TV shows, whatever, and meet them. And you got to realize it's almost like you do know them, but they don't have any clue who you are. And you need to be conscious of that fact that it's really not a real relationship. You could admire them, but so when people take that to the extreme, right? Then you start getting into the whole J-Lo thing that I was talking about earlier, where, you know, we're more entrenched in their lives that they're sharing than in ours. But it also shows you the power of social media. It shows you the power of celebrity, or the power of, and these are people who I'm telling you came from nothing, and she is a celebrity in this world. Now, if you're listening to this and you don't know who she is, it's probably because you haven't really dug into this industry yet to see the who's who's and everything else, okay? And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You'll get to that point. But the beauty is you don't have to even know who some of these people are to be successful in this business. Maybe $500 a month is what your level of success is. That's fine. And you can always adjust that. So, Peg, you understand what I mean? Like, in other words, if you met her, it's a weird, and you know, I see that even at my level in New You Life, and people come up to me and they'll say, "Oh my God, I watched your live when you did this and that," and it's like, nice to meet you and great to see you. You know, in fact, you know, I will tell you this, and this is a little secret in network marketing. And any level where people may know you and you know don't recall if you met them. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of people, you know, and they're like, "Oh my God, don't you remember when I was on that one Zoom? You know, I was square number 237." It's hard. So instead of saying good to see you again, right, because I may never have met them, I learned a great lesson from the Eric Warriors of the world and everything else to say, it's great to see you. It's not great to meet you. It's not great to see you again, because you don't know if you did or you didn't. And you basically start to practice things like, it's great to see you, because you have that volume, but you still want, when you finally meet someone face to face, then I remember meeting people in Las Vegas where there are thousands of people in a room, and somebody pulled me to the side, or I pulled them to the side to meet them. And I'll remember that meeting. So understand, when you're watching these people, it's a one-way mirror. It's a one-way mirror. And if you get too caught up into staring in that mirror and seeing someone else and not yourself, you're never going to learn to see your own reflection. You're never, ever going to do it. So you need to have a balance, okay? It's need to have a balance of admiration and then self-respect, okay? Well, if you're running into your weatherman at the grocery store, like the other day, you said it was going to be 60 degrees. They could be wrong all of the time, and we still go with it. It's the greatest job in the world. All right, I want to get back to John for a second. John was talking about, you know, you can learn about the industry and why this industry is good and people try to kill it. Let me tell you the real reason, okay? How many of you, depending, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, I don't care, because that's another distraction that you're getting bogged down with. It's another distraction and another focus. Because everybody says, "Oh, tax the rich more." If Donald Trump made more taxes, then he would never be as successful as he was. He's a tax cheat. Oh, Joe Biden, you know, got all this money from China and he never paid taxes on it. Put him in jail. You know, we should tax Elon Musk more. He should pay 100% tax. No one deserves to be that successful. You guys have no clue. And I'm going to tell you why. In the United States, there's 235 million people, okay? If 235 million people in the U.S. started a network marketing business with you tomorrow, and they never made a penny, but yet they traveled to a couple of conventions, they went out and met some people at the local Starbucks and bought coffee and filled their car with a tank of gas once a month. You know, you fill your car once a week, right? But once a month, you allocate it towards your business. You could write off that gas. You could write off a hotel stay when you come to New Jersey, to the New Jersey event. You right? Being in this business, if you're not allocating that gas and the hotel bill and everything else and taking off your taxes, you're missing a minimum of $2,500 in tax deductions every single year. I don't have a calculator to go this high, but if everybody in the United States wrote $2,500 off on their taxes, it would reduce the tax base in the United States by, I don't know, $520 billion. maybe even close to $1 trillion something. Somebody do the math on 235 million times 2,500. Okay, we would cripple the government. They don't care if Elon Musk pays half his tax, all his tax. They're going to tell you he's a bad guy. But the real secret is, it's, you know, the story of the ants. You see Bug's Life? When the grasshoppers would make the ants do all the work, right? And the one grasshopper says to the other grasshoppers, if these ants ever figured out to pool their resources together and work together, we would be out of business. They would overwhelm us, right? That's why, oh, it's a pyramid scheme. Oh, it's a tax dodge. Oh, nobody makes it in this business. Nobody does anything. If you have a New Life business and you haven't written off money on your taxes and you're here for 4 years, $562.1 billion. Okay? You could solve the Ukraine crisis. We could single-handedly solve the Ukraine crisis, fully fund Medicare, Medicaid. How many of you in this whole thing, oh, the Republicans want to get rid of Medicaid and they want to take your money? Medicaid will go bankrupt in 15 years. And there's a fight going on about who wants to end it. It's over already. It's underfunded. They robbed from Peter to pay Paul, and now there's this distraction going on. Listen, you could pick whatever side of you want in politics, right? You already know it's over. The game is up. George Carlin said it years ago. It's one big, what is it? It's one big group. It's one big club, and you ain't in it. It's one big club, and you ain't in it. So understand the greater scale, and you'll realize that they'd rather not have the public pick up a small business than worry about if Donald Trump paid his taxes or not. It's a drop in the bucket. These people just spent we spent $200 billion in the Ukraine already, but yet people aren't going to have Social Security. I'm not saying Ukraine's not an important fight, but if you go back 20 years ago, you'll realize why we're at war in Ukraine right now. Okay? We think we're stuck with the news of the day, spoon-fed to us in the way that we think we need to hear it so we could pick a side. And if you have no idea the promises we made to certain countries back then when NATO was being formed, you'll realize that this war started 15 years ago. And by the way, regardless of what side you're on, Bush caused the problem that Biden is dealing with today. Okay? The problem is, you're telling me $200 billion sent to Ukraine and not a dollar went the wrong way? Come on, guys. We've been doing this we've had the military-industrial complex for years. They got jealous because we just had COVID, so the pharmaceutical industrial complex was born, right? And now the guys in the military-industrial complex are saying, oh my God, that these pharmaceutical guys made way too much money during COVID. It's our turn again. We got to get our hands in the cookie jar, all right? Because we are run by the corporate masters. That's it, all right? Maury, the reason we're talking about it is if you don't understand why people don't go into their own business, if you don't understand why people get distracted when they say, oh my God, I can't wait to build my New Life business and I'm so excited about it, and then they ghost you or they fall off the map, is because they fell back into the matrix. All right. This is the first time in 5 years I've even spoken, and I'm not even talking politics. I'm talking about people understanding that you're focusing on things that will not benefit you whatsoever. And then you're ignoring your own business to build that can it doesn't matter. It's the only escape that we have is to be self-sufficient. And even what you make, they're going to take half of it. So you got to make twice as much to make what you want. But yet we're complaining, oh, things suck. I wish the Republicans would die. I wish the Democrats would die. I wish all the black people would be gone. I wish all the white people were gone. Are you kidding me? When was the last time you really had a knockdown, drag-out fight with someone from a different race? I've never done it. Most of my fights were with my friends or family, you know? I mean, the occasional bar idiot, you know what I mean? But that's the alcohol, not the race, you know? So point is that you got to start getting passionate about other things. All right? You got to start getting, as passionate you are about race or gender or politics or any of that, right? How is that benefiting you? It's cheering for you're going out and buying a $250 jersey the day of the Super Bowl so you can wear that jersey at the Super Bowl party. Right? That's the motivation for some people. I got to have that really great jersey for $250 and show up at that Super Bowl party because everyone's going to think I'm cool. Really? Really? Show up debt-free and everybody in the Super Bowl party knows it and see who's the impressive person. Do it for you. Don't do it for someone else. Don't try to be liked because of the jersey you're wearing, which has somebody else's name on the back of it. That's the point I'm trying to make. You know, if you're going to get into a 4-hour texting battle with somebody about politics, you've already lost. Both of you have already lost because it's irrelevant. There's nothing you're going to do. You can't stop or start the Ukraine war no matter how many flags you post around your Facebook picture. You are irrelevant. You're irrelevant. Right? And we'll know 10, 20 years from now, we'll know if you were right or wrong about supporting it. Like people were right or wrong about supporting the Vietnam War or the Korean War, right? We understand World War I and World War II, why we got into those conflicts, okay? And how, do you know how long the United States took before they finally agreed to get involved in World War II with the Germans? Okay, 2 years. So, John said 2 years. We were avoiding getting into conflicts. Now our government runs towards them. Why? It's got to be some benefit to it when we were so adamant against it. So, stop getting distracted. The reason I'm using this example is it's a lot easier to understand because many of you are caught up in it. And I'm trying to get you to just wake up and stop and say, okay, wait a second. I spend 2 hours a day going on my local Facebook site and commenting and posting and liking and putting frowny faces on people's whose comments or what you call it, I disagree with. And then what? Who wants to go next? Somebody, come on, I'm fired up. Danielle, go ahead.
I can move my mouth. Sorry, I apologize. I'm trying to multitask today. So I want to kind of branch off on what you just talked about and getting caught up in things. I just want to show what I'm doing this weekend. I've had a lot of things in my personal life that have taken me down rabbit holes, and I'm getting lost. So on Mel's call, Donna had shared a book that it's basically, I believe, for social media purposes, but it keeps things organized. And let me just tell you, after it was just a book that she briefly talked about, but it impacted me so much. And I was like, you need to do a spring cleaning right now. And that's what I'm doing this weekend. So yes, my house and my body, my face, but also the business, everything. I am just tackling everything this weekend. And I just encourage everyone else to do the same. I tend to work in long-term goals. Like, we have a big competition at the end of the season, right? That's what we're working towards, yes. I don't work on these short-term things. And that's what I tend to do in networking as well. And this networking business, because it's just what I've always done, but I have to change it up. So this weekend, I am going to hammer out my plan for this week. Just like Donna mentioned, like come up with your plan for the day with, social media. And I'm just going to hammer it out, put it on my wall and just go boom, 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 boom. And check off and see what I missed. And what I'm missing is honestly, it's precious. You're not going to get it back. It could be business development. It could be money. It could be time with your family. It could be many different things. But putting things directly in front of you to smack you in the face every day and make you realize what you're actually doing is something that I just strongly encourage everyone to do. It's no different than me telling everyone else, hey, Write out what you are eating for the week. You'd be surprised at what you're consuming. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sitting here preaching this. I know it when it comes to like meals and stuff. I do that stuff like it's nothing. But when it comes to certain, other areas, I'm like, you're not doing crap. And that's why it's just slipping through. So I need to take that same process and apply it to every area of my life now. And so that's what I'm doing. And I just wanted to encourage everyone else to do the same, because I think it's going to be very beneficial. And we're going to see a lot more growth when we see black and white statistics right in front of our face. Everything from your eating, from your networking business, your other business, family time, whatever you're doing, just give it a test run for a week, and let's do it together. Heck, I'm going to be calling Melanie. Mel, I'm going to be calling you a little bit later to just hammer out things with you, and I'm going to say, am I overextending myself? Because I believe in a check balance system, and I believe that you need that, and you need to be able to accept constructive criticism, because I feel like that's the only way you're going to be productive at the end of the day and grow. So I know Mel can just throw facts at me, and I can absorb it and take care of it. So I'm gonna be reaching out to Mel and saying, hey, this is what I pulled together. Do you think it's enough? Do you think it's not enough? Just let me know. And that's my plan. So I just wanted to share that with everyone, and hopefully someone else can,
No. Awesome. I just want to kind of give a cautionary tale, right?
Okay.
Not for what you said, but for what I'm seeing in the comments. Okay. And we just had this with this new app and the I Decide and all this other stuff. And you see what happens right away. You got 2 requests. What's the book? What's the book? Now, I don't mind you having the book. I'm not talking about the book you read or whatever. And Donna, I appreciate it. Put it in there, but put it on your list, your to-do list, not to stop every effing thing you're doing now and add this, because how many of you did the spring cleaning in your life before today and never finished at that time, and you bought a book, or you had a chart, or you bought a whiteboard, or you did something, right? So the cautionary tale is this: put that in a list, not to buy or not to, but to say, this is the one I'm going to get to next. You know what a playlist is? Like when you're listening to Spotify, and you could put the songs around and you could shuffle them, or you could say next in queue, I want to hear. So I'm like, if I'm in my backyard, I have a thing called Sonos, right? So Sonos plays music all through my house, right? So I can go on my phone and I could pick any song in the universe and I could play it, right? And then I could shuffle those songs, or I could make a playlist, or I could say, okay, if I'm looking at a song and I want to know what song to play next, I could say play next. Right? And it'll just insert that song to play next. You could move it around, but to stop everything, and look, when we'll talk about that, the app, right? All of a sudden, I saw in the chat, everybody get distracted. When's the call? Oh, there's another Zoom. Let's get on. Okay, how do I do this? Do I take my context from this and put it over there? Right? Oh, who's got a new book? Let me have a copy of that book. Let me stop and get it. And what you're doing is, you're taking what you haven't done right yet and confusing yourself again, because you're abandoning the daily method of operation that you truly haven't committed to yet. So you're piling up tools, right? You're piling up ideas, you're piling up books, you're piling up calendars, and I got to have Calendly, and I got to have this, and I got to have that. For who? For who? You must marry the process and divorce the outcome until you build your daily method of operation that it's automatic, and then you add something new in. And you read the book when your work is done. I'm not saying don't read the book. Commit to the effing book. I'm really on fire today, guys, so I'm sorry if I'm going over the top, but commit to that. Absolutely. But you don't stop everything you're doing now and switch your gears, because you've been doing that for the last 10 years of your life. You've been doing it for the last 10 years, and it's not working. You're falling in love with something because you think that's going to be the magic bullet, and the magic bullet is you. If you don't have 200, 300, 400 people in your pipeline, do you need an automated system or do you need to learn how to build your pipeline? If you don't have 10 people, you can get off this call today and say, I want to send you a recording of this call. Okay. I want to send you a recording of this call. You got to listen to it. If you don't have that relationship with at least 10 people, you don't need anything but a piece of paper and a pen, and you got to get to work. Okay. So stop getting distracted. Stop allowing people to distract you for what their beliefs are or something that worked for them, right? And anybody went to the doctor and got prescribed something, and then all of a sudden, a couple of months later or whatever, the doctor said, no, we got to switch you. We got to put you on a different medication. Anybody ever go through that? The doctor was wrong the first time. Go ahead, Diane. Go ahead, Diane. That's the funny.
Yes.
Diane, just the sheer fact that I saw you on mute made me laugh hysterically because, yeah, you're the epitome of that problem. So what I'm trying to tell you is everybody is trying to give you what they think is right for you, or it worked for them, so therefore it's got to work for everybody. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. High heels are one of the top selling shoes in the world, right? I've never bought a pair. It means nothing for me. Jessie Lee Ward wears huge heels on stage when she goes to speak. Do I think that if I bought a pair of those heels, I'm going to speak like her on stage? No. So that's an obvious response because it's so obvious and so out there. But the ones that are close because you're going on hope or you're going on laziness. The hope is, oh, maybe this will be the one. How many people, there's so much stuff out there. Get this for network marketing and fire your upline and do that. You know what they're doing? They're recruiting. Have anybody said those girls beach something and fire upline and we get people every day? And you really think they're recruiting 20, 30 people a day, those women? No, what they're doing is they're trying to recruit you. Everybody struggles in network marketing. Everybody struggles. I'm going through one of the biggest struggles of my career right now, and you guys don't even know about it. Why? Because it's not for you to worry about. It's for me to worry about. Right? Because your struggles change. It doesn't matter what your earnings are. It doesn't matter how big your team are. There's got to be new things that you're going to experience and challenges that happen every single day. And if I get distracted by something, right, then I don't have that extra time for you, which is the most important part of the thing. And then when I see everybody getting scattered, right, because someone says, oh my God, you got to buy this new t-shirt. It will make you a millionaire, right? My heart breaks every time I see that because I know what's going to happen. People are like, oh my God, I got to do it. I see, you can see it. I want you to watch the chats. When somebody says something, you'll immediately go from your focus on success and recruiting and working on the business and having a daily method of operation to where do I get that Excel spreadsheet that you're talking about? Where do I get it? How do I find it? And you'll stop everything and you wonder why your business is not growing. You lose focus as the drop of the hat. And let me tell you why. It's not your fault. No one wants to pick up the phone. No one wants to do what we do. No one wants to go to work. But everybody wants to walk on stage. Everyone wants to be recognized. That's why that's so valuable. It's so valuable when you finally say, oh my God, I'm going to be speaking at this event, or I'm going to be doing that, or maybe if that's your thing, okay? Or if it's not your thing, it's like, oh my God, I got recognized. I just got the coach, right? And you make those milestones. Why do you think they feel so good? Why do you think when somebody gets to another rank, some of us feel jealous? Because it's what we ultimately want, and yet we keep giving up on ourselves over and over and over again because we allow these things. It's weakness that we give into, and it's the hope of some magic bullet, a magic pill. They're all good. Don't get me wrong. There's not a bad, even the worst network marketing book ever written, or the best or the worst app is a tool you could learn from. But if you don't have the people to contact through an app, if you don't have the people to coach, and you're buying a coaching book you're buying GoPro, right? It's GoPro is for you, but you how to speak at a national event, and you don't have a team, you're wasting your own time. You're trying to prep for a game that you're never going to play. Because you think that if you listen to what this great speaker says in a book and the tips on how to be a great speaker, I'm going to be able to do that. John.
Man, I was trying to write that down real quick. You're trying to prep for a game that you're never going to play. I'll remember that and I'll write it down.
Please remember that. Give me credit for
Yeah.
it. You know how you do. You give me credit. Paul Sposio once said, the second time is, hey, this guy used to say, and the third time is, like I always say.
I just wanted to bring up two quick points. One, what Danielle was talking about, that she, with her side business with the gymnastics, that she's looking at the long term. But she has to admit that she does see the short-term things that is required to get to that. And so, and she knows that. I mean, she didn't say that, and I think she wanted to, but and I can say that to you directly, Danielle, that I know exactly what you're going through to get to that long-term goal. That's a lot of milestones that have to hit in order timely to get there. And I think that's what you're wanting to do with this business. What is it going to take to get to Costa Rica? I have this much time. What do I got to do from here, right? And another thing is going back to the very beginning about the crab in the pot. If there's anybody that doesn't exactly understand that, there's guests here that might not know, but they told me back in Amway back in the mid 90s. And, of course, it was already around over 40 years at that time, the American way, that it's your friends and family that will always judge you the most. And it's like, yeah, because I talk to people all the time, and especially if they know me as John Burton, the musician, who lives in a nice apartment, who's not quote unquote successful. And even if the words are correct, they don't see it, right? So what they would need to see is get invited. Hey, look, I am the trumpet player, right? But why don't you come and check out this Zoom, and you can see this grid of all these people from different walks of life that have the same kind of vision and goal. And I just wanted to add one thing. When my dad got divorced in 1979 from my mom, he dated this lady who was approached by either Rick Van Andel or Jay Van Andel or Rick DeVos, one of the two, to join the business, to help go door to door to sell the soap that they made in their bathtub. And she said no. And then they found Bill Britt. And she could have been a Bill Britt, because I know that woman. And so we have to look at these opportunities. Even now in the 50s, if you weren't making money, what were you doing, right? But now more than ever, we need to be focusing. I mean, I'm saying this to myself right now too, because I'm very busy during the week, and then I'm tired, but this and that. And I get no's all the time. We have to master the cold market. And the crabs in the pot are not in the cold market. The crabs in the pot means that as you're trying to get out, it's a natural thing for the crab to want to grab onto you to help get out as well. But what they're doing is that they're pulling you back in. And then there's some that just want to pull you back in anyway. So we can't be around that warm market as much. It's like we have to master the cold market to make the warm market more attractive to us.
So. Right. Well, listen, I'm going to tell you something, John, about that. I mean, I want what you said of the Danielle thing and everything to sink in, and the crabs in the bucket thing to sink in. But what I'm the opposite of what most people will teach you is build your list. Who'd you go to high school with? Who'd you go to this with? They're the toughest to get. I don't care who you're talking to, because if you know the origins of warm market, all right, you won't like it, because it comes from the New York Stock Exchange and the stock market. Okay, that whole technique of recruiting your friends and family and everything first is your upline trying to get a few people out of you. I'm sorry, but, and I know this is recorded, but I don't give a shit. I've said this to top builders, and I've had many of them say, wow, you got a point. I say, the joke I say about the family, they throw a hot dog at me at a family reunion, because they say sit down. They don't want to talk about the business, but if you put a post on social media about who's a boss babe, who's an entrepreneur, you'll get a lot more people talking to you. It's the God's honest truth. Okay. You know what I like to teach people about making their list? to toughen them up, because I know when they talk to their brother-in-law about it, they're going to get made fun of. So I like people to destroy. When most people talk too much, they get into business and they don't want to invite to a fixed call. They want to get on the call and say, I got this New Life thing and I'm really excited about it. And it's this gel. And then we got this comp plan thing. And I think I make like 5 levels or 2. And that person now starts exposing all the things they don't know about the business already, right? Because it takes a while to learn the business. And now you have a distributor who you just recruited getting beat up by the brother-in-law, and they're looking at you and say, you know what, you're right. I think that person, Melanie, lied to me. I think they said, I think there was 5 levels, but maybe there's 6, or maybe there's only 2, and maybe I'll never be able to get to that because my brother-in-law said, right? Meanwhile, when you're talking to an entrepreneur or a successful person, they're saying, you know what, I need to learn more about that comp plan. You said there's 5 levels. Can you go through the 5 levels? No, I can't. Let me get it. It's easier to talk to somebody who wants to find out the truth than it is to someone who wants to rip you down, right? Go, Steve Harvey says it, not about network marketing, about get away from your friends if they don't see your vision, if they've never had a vision before in their life, and you want to tell them, I'm going to change your life. They have no desire to change their own. Yes, you wish you could bring them along. You wish you could pull them along, and you wish that this is the best thing that could ever happen to them. But if they're just not going to see it, they're just not going to see it. And then what are you doing? You're poisoning your own well, right? Because it's tough enough. So we expose our people to this thing where have to go walk the hall. Go ahead, Diane. I'll call you after the call. Diane's going to go walk the hall. Zip up tie up the back of your gown. All right. All right, we don't need an indecent exposure charge on top of your medical issues. So she's had a lot of struggles lately. I tell you, she really has. So I lost my train of thought because I'm thinking about Diane now, and I'm laughing, but she's been through a rough time, and I think
Steve Harvey.
No, I know that, but I mean, to be honest with you, think about how we know more about Diane's life than you do about some of the other people in your life that are basic acquaintances. Think about a basic acquaintance you have. You know more about Diane and everything she's going through and everything. That's really, there's a value to some people for that. There are people who will join your business just for that sense of community, and maybe somebody is going to, feel about them the way we feel about Diane. You know how many people are out there like that? Now, don't get me wrong. They could be a jerk, and they don't get it. Maybe there's for a reason, but there's so much reward in this industry that doesn't exist anywhere else. If this was the stock market and we were all working for the same company, okay, we would all be working against each other. We'll all be going after the same account, the same people, the same whatever, and it's dog eat dog. I've never been in an industry that if you just relax and let the jealousy go and take you come from a place of abundance, that you could find more success living in a world of abundance and having other people benefit than your own. It's the God's honest truth. I really believe that. I really do. And I could tell you about the concept behind. Okay, so do you guys want to go on about? You guys want to know about how the warm market was born and why it's a little deceptive? Are we in an industry or a profession? Ooh, interesting. I think we're professionals in an industry that is unique onto itself. But I do think that, boy, even career comes to mind. Diane always been last 2 weeks. She's been pulling this stuff out, like making my brain go. I think it's a profession. I think we're, think about this. If you got a job and even if you're a sales professional in a, let's say you're the top car salesman at Mercedes-Benz, right? The #1 international Mercedes-Benz car person. Are you really changing someone's life emotionally or, making them a better driver? Does anyone leave after buying a car, become a better driver because the salesperson showed them how to drive that car more efficiently? Does anybody feel that if they, what other profession are you? It's almost like you're half psychiatrist and half business coach, right? So it's a very, very unique profession. because you're not going to be able to get somebody to have monetary success until they have personal development success, because it's not a job. There's no one standing over you, or you don't, as much as you guys appreciate me or appreciate Diane or whoever, you're not really going to go the extra mile for yourself to make me happy. You might. I love when you guys call me up. Oh my God, I went coach today, or I went executive promoter. I did, I love that. But if I was your boss, the reason you're coming to me and tell me about your success is so you don't get fired, or you hope that you're going to have a better annual review. Here, it doesn't, that fear, part of the fear factor doesn't exist. And that's why it's so much trouble getting people to be successful, because you don't fear my appreciation or lack of appreciation. You do appreciate when we recognize and we edify and we do all of that stuff. Okay. And I'll tell you a little secret. I hate when you guys edify me on a call. I hate it. I cringe with it. In fact, I'm going to write what that should be, that because it really bothers me, because now I got to live up to this expectation and this other person saying, well, what, I don't know. So you don't have accountability like when working for a boss. Yeah, that's it. So my admiration of you or Mel's or anybody's, right? Anybody that's developed a thing of leadership, it's not enough for you that we like you or love you or cheered you on or put a post up about how great you are. Most people, I'm not going to say you guys, but most people would rather be feared into satisfying their daily method of operation or their daily goals. It's much easier for people to function being afraid of losing their job than it is to go after their own personal success. You know what I mean? Does that
I call
kind
that
of
safe mode.
Yeah, well, it's safe because I got to have my job. I got to do this. I got to do that. Oh, no, I would never think of quitting my job. Look, I tell people when they say, you know what, I think I'm not really making that much money, so I'm going to quit my job and devote all my time to New You Life. And my first thing is stop. Don't even think about that, because you don't have enough work to do. I love when people saying, anybody ever hear me say, hey, don't not cut the lawn on Saturday? I've been saying that for years, right? If you listen to when I pitch, all the secrets are in there, right? I just do it in a different way. I tell people, don't give me 15 minutes twice a day over giving me all day Saturday, because you don't have enough to do all day Saturday. Most of you don't have enough to do to fill the 30 minutes a day because you're not building that, okay? So, I don't want to seem like I'm coming down on everybody, but I don't know how to get it other than fear, which seems to be the easiest way for you guys to be motivated, is the fear of your boss firing you is more of a motivator than your own success. Those of you who are in the job thing or the people you're talking to, you need to understand what they're thinking. We want to throw videos at them. We want to throw this at them. We think that's going to be the whole thing. Throw this at them, and the gel is so good, and here's our comp plan, and here's this, and point A and point B, and click here and do this. It's what does that person need in their life at that time? Is it community? Is it money? Is it just a sense of belonging? Is it just enough to make an extra $400 a month? $300 a month? $100 a month extra? Right? Just enough to, go ahead, Bob. We're running long anyway. But what is it? And if you don't know what it is that your people want, you're not doing the business right. Anybody want to close out for me? Come on, Mel.
You've been on fire this morning. I like it when you're on there. I like the real truth, Paul, right? Like that doesn't sugarcoat everything, because I feel like we get that enough. And I feel like it holds us more accountable of what our own brain is already thinking, right? We're already working through that cycle of in a crisis, middle of a crisis, coming out of a crisis, going back in, right? That's that cycle that we have in our own lives. And I thank you for being on fire this morning. But, you know, to close out all of those thoughts that we heard, right? You know, like different opinions, jumping on different things, being open, Danielle being open for me talking. And when I told Danielle that she was not coachable, that she keeps bringing up, okay, in transparency, I called Paul on a phone and I said, oh my God, I might have really screwed up with Danielle today. Okay. So as much as I was willing, she asked and I said, are you sure? Right. And I felt like I did good, but even for me, and she received it and had to look back at herself. I turned around and went to Paul and said, man, I might have really did something wrong. And he was like, no, that's exactly what she was asking. She's willing. You are in a place of trust, right? And gave me these key things to reassure me to know that I stepped out to do that too. So I would be doing
Well, hold on a
her a
second. And by the
disservice.
way, is it okay if Danielle is borrowing your strength for a while? We owe that to that other person if we're going to be in a servant leadership position until you say, Danielle, right? You don't need me anymore. You're better than me, right? Because that's what you want. You want everybody to be better than you. If you really want this business to work right, you want to have everyone better than you are.
And exactly on that note, right? But when you have somebody on the book or the app or the shiny new object, which I used to use kids, right? So I would be on the phone and your kids getting around and then you turn around and you're rolling something, you know, like distract them with the ball or the pan or something else, right? So that I can finish a Zoom or I can finish something. It's the shiny new object that keeps the child distracted where I can follow through and do something. It's the same thing that we do on these things. We hear Diane's great idea or Donna's great book or, you know, the new app. And you have to look at yourself enough to see if that's something that you want to implement as a business owner. No different than my bar business. If you walked in, they try to sell you the best new everything all of the time. That's all they wanted to do. And I'm like, I'm in the middle of a shift with 75 people in here. You picked the wrong time to talk to me. And I think that when we realize that that's what we do to other people, sometimes we're calling them in the middle of a shift that they have no time to even listen to what we have to say. They're not telling us no. They haven't even understood what we're offering. And yesterday, you guys saw me post about this girl, Amanda. Lori and me had a 3-way call with Amanda 2 or 3 months ago. She came in and she was in turn asking us. It spent an hour and 20 minutes to try to get her to sign up because of our computer back office issue yesterday. And I literally called Anaya and begged her with a text message, please.
And why is it always on a Friday when we need the points? Let's face, I mean, always.
Yes.
You know?
So I was like screenshotting error messages and I'm like, why is she's trying to sign up people and her ID wasn't working? Not to bitch about the company. That's not what this is about. My point
No, I understand.
I called Anaya. She in turn helped us get that done. This morning, I called Peg for slides, Charmaine for slides to change the situation, right?
Because Paul was oversleeping.
Well, but my point, yes, but which is normally me, just so you guys know. But my point is that's what it should be about, right? We should be sharing the opportunity about you don't know how Charmaine's willing to help me with my computer today because I have 4 more Zooms going on. You don't know the type of company that I'm a part of that I could be on the phone and drop of the hat at a place that they're receptive to what we're talking about and knowing when they're receptive to talk about it and building the trust where John sent me an amazing message while we were on this call, right? He's my little cheerleader all the time. And so he sent me that message and you see my reaction, my facial reaction to that. How many other people have something else crazy going on that need that uplifting? Hey, I'm just checking on you. I hope everything's good. You just know that I didn't think about, or I thought about you today, or something to that effect, a lead. And then you're building that relationship and they might never come in, but think of the impact instead of what I call the person stalking them. Oh my God, you got to Zoom, you got to Zoom, you got to Zoom. Like you don't even know if they're even remotely close to, did you say anything first? Right? We sent them 6 videos.
Mel, like on that point, because you're making some really good points there, right? Like we're so worried about what we're going to say and what's my script and what's this and let me send them this app and let me do this, that you're not even considering what the other person is receiving on the other side because you haven't had your shit together. You refuse to practice and work and grow and are constantly throwing new techniques and angles at things, right? And you wonder why your message is not being received properly, right? That's why we keep looking for something that's going to help us with this or help us with that. And it's not. You just don't know how to react to it. And you're not giving the other people the just looking phase. Let them get into the just looking phase. Again, you're trying to hatch an egg. I got to get this person to sign up today because I got to get the coach. I just need a few more points to get the coach. And let me do that. You're not considering the other person. And that's why you're not closing. Because either you're too pushy, right? Because of the time of the week it is, or it's Friday or whatever, or you don't have your script down. You don't have what you're saying. You're not conversational enough, right? And you're trying to talk to them and not even hearing what they're saying. You're just trying to get, and it's the most effective gel, and we're FDA registered, and you're trying to go through this whole thing without listening to the other person. How many of you have been on a three-way call where you said, "Was he ever going to talk about the gel?" Right? No, not if that person's not ready to talk about it. Not if that person wants to build rapport and everything else. Build rapport, right? You got to have the people do business with people they like, know, and trust. And you guys put us on the phone for somebody for 15 minutes, and you have to develop. That's more important than what it is, because Peg's before and after picture. How many bottles have you guys sold because of Peg's picture? How many? Right? So that's better than me talking about the product. So if I spend my time building a friendship and trust and everything else, and then when we get to it, and here's this product and it's unique, and by the way, this is what it does, then you're golden. You're golden. But if they're not receptive and open because you're too either nervous, scared, or ill-prepared for that call, it's your fault. And then we want to send them some video or something that's going to make it all happen. Most people are going to be like, "Oh, what's this?" Do you know that most people will delete, those of you who are in the leads program, right? Which I want to restart and everything, but you guys, like, if you don't get one response, you're like, "Oh, you're done. This lead stinks." No. Meanwhile, we got leads coming in. Who was I just on the phone with the other day for a lead that's from September? Who was that? Donna. You could unmute Donna. Oh, all right. Donna and it was somebody from September, right? That's why the leads are evergreen. It's why. It's not because Donna's not good at what she does. She's very good at what she does. She's in the top 10 in the company as far as social media is concerned. The girl wasn't ready. And we want to vomit all over these people. Send them all these links, send them all of this, tell them which book to buy, all this other stuff, and you haven't even got them to the point where they're ready to look at something because something happened in their life that make them make that decision, that they're ready to make that decision. And you're not collecting enough of those people that they pop, the little red signal goes off, which person's ready. If you keep pushing out to them and sending them information, sooner or later, they're going to be like, out of the blue. How many of you gotten a message out of the blue, like months later, of somebody saying, "Hey, Mel, are you still doing that thing?" Or, "Hey, please send me info." I've sent out texts that say text info, whatever, right? And it would go, I'll tell you right now, I'm using Project Broadcast that Peg turned me onto, right? I'd send out a blast to leads, and 7, 8, 12 days later, somebody texts, "Stop," right? Stop. I sent it 12 days ago. It took them 12 days to open it up, look at what it was, and to text me back, "Stop." Now you're going to say, "Oh, well, they put stop. It doesn't mean anything." No, what I'm trying to tell you is people ain't opening the crap that you're sending them. And when they do, they don't even look at it and they text "stop." I've had people go on my website about business from home, right? That's where the leads come from. Within 5 minutes of them giving me their name, their address, their phone number, how much money they want to make every month. And the reason is because they want to take care of their kids and work from home and blah, blah, blah. I'll call them within 5 minutes of them filling out that form. And they're like, "Why are you calling me?" "Well, you filled out this form." "Well, I don't have time for this right now." So they literally did it within 5 minutes, and I'm calling them. So if you don't understand this part of human nature, you will never build this business, or any business for that matter. Remember, people get out of their car to walk into PetSmart because they need pet food, right? So we are trying to equate this business to having a sign on a store and have that store there for 10 years and people realizing, oh, you know what? Let me go to the PetSmart. We need food. I don't want to go into the supermarket. I'll go and see what else treats or whatever they have for the dog. You think that happened on the first day? No, that store has been there and established, and that sign has been on every night, and they're paying electricity for that electric sign, PetSmart. So when you drive by for the last year and a half, you're going to think about going to PetSmart. And you guys don't want to have your sign lit up. You don't want to let people know that you're in business, and you expect people to walk in, or you get one person on the phone, right? And you're talking for 4.5 hours about Somaderm, and they're like, I don't have a dog. That's the equivalent of you talking how great your dog food is, and it's the greatest dog food ever and everything else. And the person's like, I'm 18 years old. My hormones are raging. I don't understand what this is all about. Or, so you don't know anything about your prospect. Yeah, I really am on fire today. Oh my God, I could go for an hour. All right, Mel, I'm sorry to cut you off, man, but I just want you guys to do better. I want you guys to succeed. And I want you guys to get out of your own way and just talk to more people and divorce the outcome and marry the process, and stop trying to add more complications into it. If you don't think people do what you do, and you're wondering why your team's not growing, and if you're doing the wrong thing and it's not growing, look behind me. You guys see I got the products there and everything else. Do you know when I started doing this, I noticed there were top leaders in this business doing Zooms that didn't have product or anything behind them. And when you start noticing your team doing what you're doing, you're making an impact, right? What if I put a big sign that said F you back there? Am I sending the right message? So think about what you do, because your people are going to do it too. And you'll see the evidence of it. So when you're saying, grab this, grab that, do this, get on this call, do that, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, I got to do that. And it's always easier to do the thing that doesn't require you to do the thing. It's always easier to do the thing that doesn't require you to do the thing, which is pick up the damn phone and start talking to people. That's how Jesse Lee Ward did it. That's how Paul Capozio did it. That's how all of these people did it. It's not that they don't take no for an answer, but when you try to tell one of us that we don't know what we're doing and this is a scam and this is everything, I'm ready. I'm ready for you. I'm ready for your worst prospect to tell me that this is not a good opportunity. I'm ready. There's no fear. There's no anger. There's no tit for tat. It's like, listen, I can't convince you, but just let me tell you a little bit about my journey and the journey of tens of thousands of other people. Does everybody make it? No. People that don't have desire in any other part of their life are not going to find success here. But if you got somebody who really wants it bad enough, or give me somebody whose back is up against the wall versus someone they think they have it all figured out, I'll take the person with the back against the wall. All right, guys. Anybody else want to do it? Mel, thank you much for doing that. I'll leave you with the closing words, and then we're going to say goodbye.
I appreciate you, Paul. I want him to sleep in and get on a Zoom every Saturday morning, because I could use that every Saturday morning. But one thing I want to close with is think about what you're doing today, right? What is your 30 minutes that you're going to give to the business today? So I thought it was perfect. Paul was talking about that 15 minutes in the morning, 15. Don't try to spend all day recreating a wheel or recreate something that everybody that's on here has already been doing so much already, right? But what is that one thing that we're going to do? For me, I've been following up and doing, I do need some type of organization, I feel, because I've been dropping the ball, right? I'm dropping the ball because I have so much else going on. But for me, that 30 minutes that you spent today is just really to think about what we're doing, what we're going to do, that we're going to implement. That phone that's 500 pounds, that pick up, and you got to pick it up. And that's all I've been focused on. It's not, I divorced that outcome. Like Paul said, I've been really just focused on the beginnings. I did not personally recruit or add to my team one person during the extra $50. That's transparency, right? I did not do one, but in my team, we did, in the last 3 weeks, we added 31 people. So well, I mean, I appreciate the claps, right? But that's not my point to that. My point is thinking about what it is for that other person. I reached out to my team and I asked who wanted to work and who it was and who was willing to divorce the outcome and let's just do the activity. And people were jumping on board. And then as the beginning, people were having success and they saw people starting, then they got more. And like the girl I talked about yesterday, she's ready to come in and do this as a business. And then her timing, right? She could have joined 3 months ago, which would have helped Lori, right, at that moment. But instead, we let her get to her time, and now she's coming in to go to work. She wants to know the formula. She wanted me to send her videos last night. She messaged me till I think 1 o'clock in the morning, her time. And I'm, I told her, I said, get on. And she had to work this morning. Otherwise she'd be on the call. But you know what I mean? Like several things. She's ready. She's hungry. And that's exciting. So that was my little tidbit. Your 30 minutes today. Thank you all. I appreciate all of you. And I love your faces. Thank you, Paul, for your fire, bringing the fire this morning.
Woo woo, Paul. Woo woo.
I love you guys. I'm going to set this recording up. I'm probably not going to do the stuff in the beginning and the end. I'll get this up and let's offend a lot of people. Tell them if you got anybody who you want to dislike me, this is the call to send them. So long, guys.
Thank you, Paul.
Love you guys.
Weekend, everyone.
Thank you all.